Are officially live on the first episode of Let's Address It with your host, Later Danger, as per usual. This is the pilot episode, and I'd be more than happy to address a bunch of problems or anything that I feel should be talked about. That's why I'm here. That's why be sure to always check it out because and if you have anything that you want to address, or you want me to address, I should say, and you want me to talk about it, anime-wise or gaming-wise, I ask that you let me know. I would be more than happy to follow suit on whatever it is that any of you may want me to do. That is not to say that I'm a follower. If you have any suggestions or anything, just let me know. First things first. I'm just gonna let people know that my stream is live before I begin. Just gotta post it to Twitter too, because I don't want people to not know that I'm streaming. Stream is live. But anyway, let's get into this. So today's topic is going to be my HiME and my Otome anime series. First and foremost, we're going to start with my HiME, as it is by far a tale as old as time. 12 maidens who may only choose to choose to fall in love, but have to fight each other in order to gain a wish at the end. Okay, so where do I start with this? Oh, you know what? Let's start with the protagonist, Mai Tokiya. She is a very strong-willed, very capable elder sister to a constitutionally weak younger brother in Takumi. Our protagonist, she works a number of jobs in order to pay for her brother's hospital visits, his surgery. Basically, she's the type of person that you'd want taking care of you. Now, she is the protagonist of the story. I know I keep going back to that point, but it's really important that you remember that she's the protagonist, because the story halfway through the series starts to shift in certain directions, and all honesty, they do it perfectly. But sometimes you forget that Mai herself is the protagonist, because everyone around her. I wouldn't say that their characters are more driven. It's more like they are just. I don't know. Hers just feels kind of weird. Anyway, she comes across a cat girl. I say cat girl, but it's not Neko. It's more or less that she resembles a cat in terms of personality and I guess somewhat facial experience, like not like with cat ears or a tail or whatever, but like when if you see her, you know what I'm talking about. Her name's Makoto Minagi. And throughout the story, you can tell that Mai tends to transition a lot between her loved ones, which is, in my opinion, why she's able to survive so long. The premise of the show, you know what? I'll go back to the premise of the show. The premise of the show is that there are 12 maidens. They each possess something what is known as a child, and they are brought to Fuka Academy to fight these creatures known as orphans or lost children. They are created by an organization known as Sears, and they're basically sent there to fight those monsters, or so they've been told. Now, under the surface of that mission, they soon find out that in order to fully complete this ancient ritual called the HiME Festival, they have to use their children, which are basically the orphans, or the orphans or slaves, I guess, is the more common terminology for my Otome, but that'll come later. They use their children to fight each other, battle royale style, and the last one standing gets to be the bride of the Obsidian Prince. It's either Prince or King. I don't remember that, but I do remember his name was like Obsidian something. The premise. Sorry, I keep going back to the word premise. It's because there's a lot to cover in the show. It's 24 episodes long, but there's a lot to cover. Anyway, we have 12 HiME. We have. Hold on, I actually do have the list on my phone. We have Mai, Makoto, Yukino, Midori. A sister, I don't remember her name. I think it was like Sister Maria or something like that. Mashiro. I don't really know if Mashiro is a HiME per se, as much as she is like, a predecessor of the HiME. My Otome implies that she's, a descendant of some gods or whatever from that story. No. I mean the show, the My HiME implies that she's a descendant from one of the previous users or previous women in the previous HiME festival, but I'm not too sure about that. We have Akane, now Shiho, Natsuki, Shizuru, and Akira. I will be going in order of, that's all on my phone, so describing each character is going to take some time. So, we already covered Mai. Her reason for going to Fuka Academy is to, it's a prestigious school that basically can guarantee your success in the future. She ends up working part-time for most of her time at Fuka, but after unlocking her child, she takes in a very flip-floppy stance with who her loved one is. Because, you see, I say flip-floppy, but then again, in actuality, it's like she shares loved ones with the people who are also HiME. Like, for example, for Shiho, there's Tate, and for Akira, there's Takumi. And because of this stance, or I guess because of her somewhat neutral position in it, she gets Kagutsuchi, which is the most powerful of all the children. I mean, objectively speaking. Because if I do remember correctly, I just saw the video, but Shizuru, the power of a child comes from the person's love for their loved ones, like how strongly they feel about someone, and if they don't feel as strongly for someone as like if they don't feel strong enough for someone, then they cannot pull out the power of their child, which means that they will not be able to summon them. So, because of her stance and how she goes from Tate to Takumi, and then later on Makoto, I still don't really understand. Like, Makoto comes much later though, so it's all right. But like, because of her stance, she tends to survive elimination a number of times, which I think was pretty clever on the writer's part. But at the same time, it just kind of feels like she just, you know, tread water 90% of the time. Then we have Makoto in our number 2 spot. As I said, she kind of resembles a cat in many ways. She's considered a child, like not in the sense that, you know, like the monsters themselves, but like she's considered immature, naive, pretty easy to manipulate, I guess. We don't really see her child, because like whenever she fights, she has this giant ass sword, and we don't ever see its physical form. It's implied that the Obsidian Prince's his child is the same as Makoto's, because, you know, they're tied in together. But it's very much not the case. I can assure you that. I mean, they're like, it's the full form of Moroku, except it really isn't. I can say that for certain. Just because they have the same power, and just because they sort of look like they would be of the same branch, doesn't make it the same thing. Tending to, and Makoto's story is that she's looking for her brother. That's why she came to Fuka Academy, because she felt that, I think that her grandfather, on his dying breath, told her, go to Fuka Academy, this is where you'll find your brother, that sort of thing. And once, about halfway through the story, I'm not sure at what point, but at some point, she comes into contact with her brother. And she starts confusing the definition of love. She's like, what does it mean to love? What does it mean to truly care for someone? And her brother and her grandfather apparently drilled into her head the idea that enemies are people who would want to hurt you and they must be defeated. So the HiME battle acts as a catalyst to her eventually finding the true answer for what it really means to love someone, which I think, hell, if that don't make you touch and cry and shit, then I don't know what's wrong. You need to go get some help. But I won't get into much detail on that. Then we have Yukino. Yukino's position in all this is actually really interesting, for the fact that Yukino is more or less a sidekick for Haruka, the vice president at the vice president of the student council at Fuka Academy. And because Haruka sees her and Shizuru, who is the student council president, as rivals, like, she has to perform and overperform so that she can prove that she's better than Shizuru. But it's nothing hostile, you know. It's nothing like, oh, I'm gonna undercut this person. I'm gonna make sure that their work gets, like, destroyed or whatever. It's nothing like that. It's more or less just friendly competition at that point. So the thing is that you can tell that Yukino doesn't want to be a part of this. Well, I mean, most of the girls don't want to be a part of this battle royale. I mean, they came out of having a night out together, and then, you know, Nagi, who we will get into, and then Nagi came out of nowhere, and he's like, are you guys having fun together? Great, now kill each other. You know, Danganronpa style. But, you know, a lot better, in my opinion. I mean, Danganronpa was good, but my HiME just does the whole Battle Royale thing better, as it... I don't know. Anyway, Yukino, shit, I don't even know how to really describe her. I didn't really care much about her until Shizuru came to the show, which I think was very much intentional. The thing with Yukino is that because of her child's ability to basically see parts of a certain area, as long as the mirrors are set up, she managed to find something that was less than okay, if you know what I mean. What I mean is that, like, she managed to, because she was watching Natsuki, who also is HiME, by the way. I already mentioned that. She managed to find out that Shizuru, the student council president, who was extremely gay for Natsuki, like beyond gay, because like Natsuki's unconscious, Shizuru had basically rescued her from Nao, who had tried to kill her. But Shizuru is like, she's twisted. She's the kind of lesbian that, you know, you don't want anything to do with because she's batshit insane. And she sort of forced herself on Natsuki, which Yukino had seen through the eyes of her child. And I think Haruka might have been there. I'm not sure. No, I don't know. You know what? I don't think Haruka is there. But essentially, the role that Yukino takes on during her fight with Shizuru is that Yukino and Haruka are condemning Shizuru for openly showing her love for Natsuki. Like, not in the sense that, you know, hey, you're a girl and you're a girl, and that's not okay. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like, you know, homophobia. Not at all. I mean, I guess on some levels it might be, but not really. The whole thing with her is that, you know, she forced herself on one of her lower classmen. And that's not okay. And Shizuru, as far gone into the depth of lesbianism as she is, she's like... Yeah, no. Haruka calls her disgusting and all that, you know. It's because, you know, in a way it kind of is. Like, I'm not saying that I'm homophobic. I most of my bookmarks are Yuri, so I can't really say anything about that. But the main issue is that, you know, Natsuki is no longer pure because Shizuru did what she did. Well, I won't say it, but, you know, it's already out there. And Shizuru doesn't like that Yukino and Haruka are, you know, berating her for, you know, being herself, I guess is the easiest way that we can describe this. And so she basically kills Yukino. And you know what the funny thing is that, like, it can't be homophobia if the people who are doing it are, you know... It's because the people are doing it, I wouldn't say that they're gay, but, you know, it's very heavily implied. The premise of the show is very, greatly implying that the two are together. Or not together, but, like, together, you know? Like, and to quote Nora from Ruby, like... You like, it's not confirmed that they're together, but, like, you know it based on their interactions. It's something like that. So Haruka condemning Shizuru for, you know, being gay, that's like, it's really based on how you look at it. Anyhow, oh, I forgot to send her the link. But yeah, that's basically that story. Ooh, let's get to Midori. Midori's number 4 on the list. Number 4, you know what? In all honesty, I'm gonna be straight up with you. Midori might single-handedly be the greatest character in my HiME or my Otome. Like, straight up, just perfect character all the way through, and I love her. Because in my HiME, she's shown as outgoing. She has, like, I wouldn't say she has a drinking problem, but she's a very fun drunk. And she's kind of like the older sister who basically watches over, Mai and the girls because, like she's older. She has a duty to protect her friends, that sort of thing, but like, stronger. It's like everyone else. She has someone that she loves, that she wants to protect, and that's just wonderful, and I love that. But like more importantly, it's the way they went about her character that makes me love her. Like she even like when everything starts falling apart, she's trying to keep everyone together. She's just the thread that keeps everyone in check, and she's like. She's really, really just like we have a character like now who we'll get into, but I'll talk a little briefly about. She's kind of a rogue agent, and she does what she wants, that sort of thing. And like you can tell that despite how goofy and quirky Midori is. She's incredibly sharp, she's incredibly intuitive, and not really much slips past her. And in fact, she's the one who uncovered the mystery of the HiME Festival because, Nagi and Mashiro, they won't tell you anything about it other than what they've told everyone else. And she's the one who comes up with a way to end the HiME Festival, and she basically died trying. That's just... But like, it was perfect all around. I also love the her entrance into like revealing that she's a HiME. She's like a superhero. That's a great way of describing her. She was a superhero for the HiME universe, and her story doesn't tie into anyone's really. She's a coworker of Mai, which is incredibly shocking considering the fact that she looks like she could be in her 20s, despite the fact that she's like... Shit, how old did they say she was? She was like 18 or something. And like everyone else is like, no, you're not. And then like she's like, no, definitely, I'm almost the same age as you guys. Because like when you see her, she's basically... She looks like an adult. And that's probably because I personally have seen my Otome first, so like I got the fact that she's an adult, like I already understood that. But more importantly, it's just you need to remember that she is an adult. She's able to drink, and actually, you know what? Her story ties into the nurses at Fuka. Now that I think about it, because. I mean, her special one was a professor that she had fallen for, but I mean, I don't think that. I feel like the nurse should have been her special someone because they were so close. I would have completely endorsed that. They could have gone any way about it, but I mean, at the same time, better for her to fall in love with someone who we actually don't know anything about than someone that could very well impact the story, I guess. But anyway, let's move on from Midori because we're going to talk a lot about her in my Otome. Then we have the sister. Her story is by far probably one of the most controversial ones. She's honestly the reason that the HiME Festival of this series kicks off, because she's in a relationship with a man, despite being a lady of the cloth or whatever, and this man's a douche. He's an asshole. I don't like him. No one likes him. And he's basically like, he wants the power of the HiME for himself, despite the fact that only women could have it. And you know what? I find it very interesting that in this world, like, he tries to force himself on her, and like in order to gain the power, but that's not how you gain it in that series. But if you were to do that in, say, My Otome, then that Otome would lose their powers. I don't know if the guy would be able to get them, but I just found that very interesting. He's like, I'll take the power of the HiME for myself, and I'm like, I don't think that's how it works, buddy. Unless you undergo a sex change and somehow get reincarnated into this world again as a HiME. But good on you for trying to do you, buddy. But anyway, like I said, she's the reason why this whole thing kicks off. She lies and says that now. I'm not even gonna, before I even get into that, I just want to say that now got set up, but it was the most perfect kind of setup. Like, it's believable. Everyone would completely fall in line with it. And you know what? I gotta commend the sister for that. I gotta consent. No, well, actually, you know what? Sister Maria was in the other show. I don't remember her name. I think it was like, Big Sister Yuri. No, that's no. But yeah, she was pretty much the reason why it all kicked off. She told a lie to all the girls. She feigned being attacked by Now, because her power is to make people believe something, like it's an illusion. It's an illusion, illusionary magic type thing, where like she makes it look as though she's injured, and everyone like goes after Now, and Now is like, what the hell? I didn't do anything, and and in the end, when people start figuring out it was her that lied, she essentially kills not only herself, but the man that she loves, who was the douchebag, the asshole, who tried to basically force himself on her. She's like, let me take responsibility for this corrupt man. And I'm like, well, you don't have to. It's kind of his own fucking fault. Also, ironically enough, if I remember correctly from the story, because of her lie, like, obviously the whole HiME festival begins and everyone starts killing each other, but because of her lie directly, it leads to Akira, I guess, really attacking Mai. And no, not Mai. No. Because everyone believes that Now is this horrible person. Now basically takes the role of a bad guy who isn't really a bad guy. Like, I wouldn't say an antagonist per se. I wouldn't say an anti-hero, but somewhere in between those two. As she was falsely, like it's clear as day that like she was meant to be somewhat of a not good person, but she's honestly a really good person, as shown in my Otome. But that's an entirely different universe, so it doesn't really count. But essentially, Now assumes the role of a bad guy because of the sister's lie of her attacking her. Because of that lie, because of her lie, Now ends up getting injured by her own child. Because, like, everyone's, like, trying to figure out what's going on, and she's very hostile, she's very defensive, and she goes, like, she tries to kill one of them because, like, she believes that they're trying to kill her. I mean, like, at that point, I would do the same thing. Or not really, I guess. Not really. Some people in this world would do the same thing as what Now did. And, try to get the drop on them before they get the drop on her. And because of an accident, it's very much an accident, I can say that for sure. But her child ends up slicing her eye open, and it's like, it's really, it's not graphic, but like, when you hear it that way, it does sound graphic, and then when you see what happened, it doesn't show like her eye, but you could tell it's all fucked up now, because if you took something sharp to the eye, I bet there would be blood everywhere, and you could see the blood in her hand, And it's just crazy. Anyway, basically a lot of this led to now trying to kidnap Takumi, which, as we established, is my sick brother. And because of this, Akira, who is very good friends with Takumi, who shared her secret of being a woman, despite everyone thinking that she's a guy, she shared this secret with him, and they're close. So she goes after now to save Takumi, and Makoto, believing that Akira is an enemy, tries to kill. Well, I wouldn't say try because she succeeded. She succeeds in killing Akira, or her child anyway, which causes Makoto to, I think that there was already a rift between Mai and Makoto at that point, because Nao was doing Nao things and trying to be like, oh, Mai doesn't consider you as an adult. She thinks that you're just a little brat who needs to be taken care of, and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's because of Nao. No, it's because of the sister of that all this just happens, and it was under the idea that because everyone believed that Takumi was the one thing that the person most precious to Mai, or the thing most precious to Mai, I guess, in Nagi's words, that if she lost Takumi, then she would very much be unable to summon her child. Which backfires greatly because it gives me the most like I don't say that rage moments turn me on, but in all honesty, Maya was just beyond the point of livid. It was amazing. It was wonderful. It was simply delightful. She stood up slowly. She looked like she was about to collapse at any moment. In all honesty. She looked deader than dead, and the life had literally just been shot out of her. And then she saw Makoto, and she's staggers as she stands up. She's not injured. By no means is she fully injured at that point, but she's she's just seeing it just is more impactful than talking about it. I kind of want to do a video on that later on. But anyway, because they miscalculated in thinking that, then again, it goes back into the flip-flopping nature of Mai and how she simply just can't keep the most precious thing to her as just one thing. And how she basically survives off of bullshit, I'm just saying. But because of how strongly she felt, I think it was more or less a misunderstanding on, the requirements of summoning a child. In my personal belief, I think that it's not what you find precious to you that gives you the strength to summon your child. It's more or less, no. It's not that the person has to be alive for you to do that, be able to summon them. Because I think it's more or less just the power of emotion that invokes a child's existence. Which it would explain why Natsuki wasn't able to summon hers in the Shizuru thing, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. Anywho, it was the sister's plan to have it. Well, I guess wasn't her plan. It was her man's plan to get Mai in a position where she would not be able to summon her child, because anyone who knew Japanese history in the show, they knew Kagutsuchi was the most powerful of the gods, well, at least the ones that are put in place here. Kagutsuchi basically survives getting shot with a satellite, which I will never understand how you survived that. Or I think it might have self-destructed and then came back as another form. I don't remember the logistics of it, but it was pure badass, and I would implore you to go watch it if you haven't already by this point. We're 35 minutes in, so I think you should go watch it. But because it backfired, uh, the sister ends up apologizing to Mai in the chapel after, failing to give her the reality that she really wanted, in all honesty. Like, because she has the power to give illusions. She tried to kill Mai in the chapel, but she ended up failing, and then she just ended up killing herself because she lost. But like, not in that context. It's like, she realized that what she did was wrong. She repented, and basically she just sacrificed herself to make sure that Mai could continue on, that sort of thing. Anyway, let's move on to the next one, which is Mashiro. Oh my god, Mashiro. Yes, Mashiro. Oh, where do I begin with her? The figure of the, well, I guess the more notable thing to mention is that she took the place of Fumi, who's the real headmaster of Fuka Academy, and she took her position, and Fumi became her assistant. And here's the real thing about this. I got strong Ozpin vibes from Mashiro because, her entire personality in My HiME is just, I wouldn't say deceptive, but she lies for the greater good. It's like, she knows that if she had told them that they were to fight each other, which was the main reason why they were brought there to begin with, she led them to the school to fight monsters. That's what she told them. But in reality, it was for the HiME festival in which they'd be fighting each other. And I mean, this is what made me really like Mashiro in both series, because like Mashiro and Otome, she's a brat, but like then she becomes a better person for a while. But Mashiro in this series is just so mature, but like she's also naive in a sense. Like, she's wise, don't get me wrong, she's very wise, she's very smart. But like, for the most part of the series, she's very sad, very, very upset with herself for allowing this to go on. I feel that's why I feel that she was personally like some kind of it's like she had taken part in the HiME festival at some point or another. I'm not sure if they ever confirmed that she was or not. Like, I've never read the manga. I've been meaning to. But it's implied that she was a former contender in a previous HiME festival, and the reason why she's still alive, despite a news article saying that she had died, I just get the feeling that she's always sad because she realizes that what these women are going through, and it's something that she could relate to, and it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling to just, and she's the one who's enforcing it, which makes it even worse for her because it's just sad. But I mean, she's definitely on the side of the girls, which is very much unlike Nagi, who serves the Obsidian Prince. And to me, it just feels like there's this, I wouldn't say this bond between them, but it's like she can relate to how the girls at Fuka, how they feel about this whole situation. And in all honesty, if you just have to watch the show and just watch everything she said, listen to everything she says, watch her actions, watch her facial expressions, you'll get what I mean. She's very deceptive. Like, not in an evil sense, but like everything that she says and does just doesn't add up. So I guess we'll just move on from her, because if I say any more, then it will very much spoil her character. I mean, I already spoiled a bunch of other characters, but that's the thing. Mashiro is a really important player in this game. I can assure you that. So let's go to Akane. Akane is... I'm sorry, I can't. I don't like her in the PS2 game. I really don't. Her fighting style is bullshit. I'm just saying. But Akane in the My HiME universe, she's very much like her Otome counterpart in that she loves Kazu, her boyfriend who she's been seeing for a while. But like in all honesty, the way that they started the HiME Festival, like at the when they said that they started the HiME Festival, it straight up just it had already begun. Like no lie. So Akane is thinking, hey, I'm gonna tell Kazu about my being a HiME. You know, the fact I got these powers, and like it's her death that basically clears up the meaning of the of like the rules of the game. You know, like if you fall or if your child falls, then you lose the most precious thing to you. Because at that point, everyone was under the impression it's my life. Even Mai said that if I die or my child dies, then I lose my life, right? Like, and that would have been perfect. That would have been perfect. I would have been happy with that. But then they took it a step forward and they used Akane as a sort of, I don't want to say a scapegoat because that just sounds horrible, but as an example. I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry. It's really not okay for me to laugh here because it's honestly just, it's so sad when you think about it. Because Akane, under the impression that if her child lost, then she loses her life. She ends up, you know, thanking Miyu, an android from the Sears Foundation, for, you know, telling her about her power and all that, you know, making her feel okay about, you know, being different. And then when she's about to tell Kazu, hey, I got this very strange power and I can summon this creature and there are these monsters, her mission and everything, that sort of thing. She's about to tell him all of this. And then Miyu comes out of nowhere and just straight up murks her HiME, because Miyu was designed solely to fight the HiME. You know, she was manufactured and just designed overall to be able to combat children and the powers of the HiME. So you can see how how quickly she basically killed Akane. And Akane is like, oh no, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna disappear, and Kazu's worried about her, but then like it's a snap thing happens. I say it's a snap thing in the sense that like it's something that where you're like you watch it and you're like, shit, that's not good. And Akane ends up losing Kazu and has a fucking breakdown. Like when I say a breakdown, I mean I don't want to say that she was admitted to a mental facility, but that's what's heavily implied. And she's just not herself, and it's just, it's not, I shouldn't laugh, but like, in all honesty, once you see my Otome, you're like, well shit, that's not okay either. But like, when Nagi's explaining the true HiME festival to the girls, Natsuki ends up calling this informant she has, and he puts, it's either the informant or the doctor, I don't remember who. But basically, they put Akane on the phone, and she's like, if your child dies or you die, then you end up losing the person most precious to you instead of your life. And then everyone's like shocked. It's like her entire role was that up for that moment. But like, she's a very likable character in the sense that like she's perfectly written for that one moment, and I gotta commend the writers for that. I just have to. Anyway, next would be now, and oh, the stories that I could tell you about now. Oh my god. So basically, her character is described as a tomboy who goes around using her sex appeal to rob men. Which, if you think that's bad, consider the fact that she is a loner. She doesn't like people. She doesn't. I won't say that she doesn't like men. It's just that she just doesn't like, she doesn't trust anyone. And it's really sad because her mom's in the hospital. She's basically in a coma, and that's why she feels that she needed to win the HiME festival. And she, like I said earlier, she tries to make Makoto think, oh, Mai doesn't care about you. She sees you as a child that she's burdened with and stuff like that. And, in all honesty, I'm not going to lie to you, I get the feeling that it sort of worked because Makoto started, slowly moving away from Mai and all that. And but the real highlight of her character, I guess, would have to be the fact that she doesn't like she doesn't like any of the other girls, but she specifically doesn't like Natsuki. And she ends up trying to kill Natsuki on more than one occasion. How do I describe this? She blames the girls for what happened to her with her eye. Which is understandable because, if someone came running at you claiming that you did something and that you didn't do it, then, I guess that's a very logical way to respond to that. But she basically ends up tripping Natsuki's motorcycle so that Natsuki crashes, and she tries to kill her or at least torture her or something. And Shizuru shows up and basically murders her. I say basically, but that's kind of what happened. She kills Nao's child, which means Nao's mother is now dead. But that wasn't enough for Shizuru because Shizuru is batshit insane lesbian that has really no qualms of killing anyone, and she was ready to kill Nao too. And now at that point she's like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Please stop. And Shizuru is just I don't know. I don't know. And she has a history of she knows that because she's a woman, her sex appeal can basically get her out of most things, which I guess is smart. But at the same time, it kind of came back to bite her because in the end, after she's lost her child, she has to deal with the people she's robbed and that they're not happy, and then her child comes back, she kicks their asses again, sort of like that. So I guess that's really all I can really say about now without really spoiling too much. Shiho. So, you meet Shiho really early in the show, and you can see that she has a bond with Mai because, if you see the interactions between Mai and Tate, who Shiho also holds affection for, you can see that Shiho's worried Mai's gonna fall in love with him, and he's going to go for her because, guys have a thing for the big bahongalahoingas, the big badonkadonks, that sort of thing. And, I guess throughout the entire series, she's like, promise me you'll cheer for me, and Shiho and Tate are basically siblings. They're joined at the hip. And, but they're really, I think, just best friends. I'd have to go back and check, but they're basically just best friends. But she loves him, and Tate, well, I guess, I don't really know how Tate felt before, but he strongly fell in love with Mai, as did Reito, who I would love to talk about, but he's not as important as the 12 HiME, which I should explain, but I won't because but anyway, but when Shio is finally revealed as a HiME, it's because she doesn't like Mai anymore because Mai tries to steal Tate away from her, that sort of thing. And yeah, that's basically Shio's character in a nutshell. Next is Natsuki. Oh, I love Natsuki. Natsuki is my favorite, other than Midori. Like, well, I mean, Shizuru is also my favorite. You know, I'll talk about Natsuki and Shizuru in the same thing because their stories are heavily intertwined. So Natsuki is part of this, secret organization. I wouldn't call her a secret agent, but like she has a number of networks, number of informants. But she relies on Shizuru to allow her to use the computer in the student council room because, to search up records, to confirm information, that sort of thing. And Shizuru just allows it because, she's in love with Natsuki. And the thing with Natsuki is that she's also, she like now is a loner, but she opened up to people, whereas now very much was the exact opposite. And Natsuki is very much surrounded by friends, but she doesn't like, being around people. She's not a sociable person, which is funny because in the Otome series, she's very much a likable person. And Natsuki is she's never thought about Shizuru in the sense of a relationship type thing. And Shizuru, twisted by her own ideals of what love is, and like very much yandere striving to protect her partner type situation going on here. She's very much interested in protecting Natsuki, and she loves her to the point where she was willing to force herself on her, because at the point where like Shizuru fights Yukino, she had not known about Shizuru forcing herself on her. Because, like she fell with a fever and she was very much unconscious for the most part. So when she found out about it, which was, by overhearing the conversations between Yukino, Haruka, and Shizuru, she sort of rejects the feeling that Shizuru has for her. Because, she was assaulted. Of course she would reject those feelings. But, like, even though she realizes that Natsuki needs time to, adjust, Shizuru goes off and she's psychotic. I will say that right now. Because of the organization Natsuki's mother worked for, Natsuki... her mother, I guess, tried to sell her out for information, or I don't remember the exact details behind it, but basically, Natsuki's mom was just like trying to protect her daughter, and she ended up being like selling herself or her daughter in order to gain valuable research and stuff like that. It was some kind of conspiracy where they tried to kill her off because she... You know what? No. Natsuki's mom wasn't okay with what their organization was doing, so she tried to, like, drive away with her daughter, like to keep her from growing up in the same line of work she did. And because of that, they had her killed off. And I don't know if what the Sears guy said was true. I'm pretty sure it was because of Natsuki's informant's reaction to being told all of this by John Smith, who is a member of the Sears Foundation. Basically, give you an idea of how psychotic Shizuru is, which is why I brought up the Sears Foundation and Nazi's mom. Uh, she had everyone from that sector, anyone who might have possibly been involved in hurting Natsuki or killing Natsuki's mother. Basically, she had them assassinated. So, you know, I mean, I would like a woman like that. But like, oh God, no. I don't think I would. I don't know. No. Like, that's going a bit too far, in my opinion. But anyway, Shizuru and Natsuki eventually, you know, comes to blows because, you know, Mai's not gonna fight Shizuru. Fuck that. I mean, Kagutsuchi got that ass whooping once, you don't need another one. And more or less, this was a thing between Natsuki and Shizuru, so, you know, they had to come to blows at some point. So it's not really spoilers if you could really just put the pieces together. And, I mean, there's another thing I want to touch base on, but that's in more spoiler territory, and I guess I don't really want to get that. Finally, we have Akira. So, Akira's main secret at Fuka is not only that she's a HiME, you know, like everyone else, but everyone believes her to be a guy because, like, you know, like, she has that, you know, flattened chest, which actually isn't flat because she puts bandages around her chest. She's very concerned about whether or not how strong she looks. Like, I'm not saying that she works out in the gym, but I'm pretty sure that she could probably kick someone's ass. And, here's the thing. She doesn't want people to know that she is a girl, because people will have a different opinion of her in her eyes. So when Takumi accidentally walks in on her, shout out to my boy Takumi, because, you know, that's an achievement in and of its own right. She's like, oh, I gotta kill you now, because, you know, I'm not supposed to let anyone know of my secret. Because I think that her father would have disowned her if anyone found out about her secret. But Takumi's like, I'll keep your secret, I swear on my life. And then she's like, okay. And the ironic thing about that statement is that, like, you know, he did swear on his life. But then, like, eventually people found out, and, you know, it didn't even matter at that point. But, yeah, no, then she becomes really protective of Takumi, and, you know, really just shifts my attention from Takumi to Tate, and then, like, Tate to, I guess, you know, it never really falls on Makoto until later, so I guess it doesn't really matter as much as, you know, the thing. But thanks to Akira's death, I got to see the best Mai is angry moment, so, you know, 2 claps for that. Anyway, that's the, those are the 12 HiME. I've pretty much described them in full. Oh, wait, you know what? Actually, there is one more. But she's a fake HiME. Her name's Alyssa Sears. As you can probably tell by her last name, she's part of the Sears Foundation. She was... I don't want to say that she was created. I guess you could say that she was born... a normal girl who had been imbued with the power of the HiME. Which, by the way, Mai actually got her powers from Makoto through, you know, CPR, mouth-to-mouth oral contacts, which I found hilarious and frankly, you know, greatest thing ever, but apparently it's only transitional between women, so, you know, shout out to the guy who tried to force himself on the sister, and now she's impure in the eyes of her lord, so, you know. But anyway, she's very good friends with Miyu, who is, you know, as I mentioned, an android who was built to combat the HiME and you know, further the Sears Foundation's goals. and she's presented as this character who sort of questions the morality of what the HiME stand for. Like, I guess, she feels the quickest way to end this festival is to just gather all the HiME together and kill them all. Like that. But if I had to be honest, like, I guess the real wild card here is the fact that her character plays a major role in why Miyu appears in the Otome series as Arika, who, we're just going to transition into the Otome series now. Arika is a descendant of Alyssa Sears in that world. Genuinely, I don't know what that means because, we already know that Lena Sayers is Arika's mother. But for the most part, I'm guessing like this is like distant descendant or something. But then again, that would imply that Miyu is at least like years old. So anyway, going into my Otome with almost perfect timing, because we just passed an hour. Let's talk about our main protagonist, Arika Umemiya, otherwise known as Auntie by most of her friends, and her lover. Well, I guess not really lover as much as her crush. So, what if I told you that Arika, albeit one of the quirkiest of the Otomes. Actually, no. Before we even get into Arika, I just want to talk about the Otome, their abilities, how they work, stuff like that. So, they have what is called a gem in their ear. It's like a little piercing, and then, like there's a gem inside the piercing. It's kind of like an earring, but not really. So basically, this gem is connected to a system at Garderobe Academy. I couldn't, for some reason, I was drawing a blank on the name. The Otome are connected to this system that is powered by their predecessor. One of the greatest Otome to ever live, Fumi Himeno. So, with this gem, it materializes their into something called a robe, which is basically it's like a battle suit, and it brings out their powers. I know that's a very vague way to describe it, but like that's really what it is. But it's more cool if you like see it. And it goes through these animations when they materialize, and I'm not even gonna lie, Arika's has me feeling a sort of way that's actually, like, it's awesome. And, basically, depending on the gem, their outfits, change drastically. Like, if you have the red gem, like, for the students at Garderobe, it just gives you the standard Garderobe Academy type thing, and then like Arika's Blue Sky Sapphire, it gives her like the pink and blue, and then when she pulls out its full potential, it becomes all blue. And based on like the type of Meister gem, which the Blue Sky Sapphire is an example of, it contains the power that you have. Getting into the Meister gems, a Meister is considered the master. I mean, direct translation, it's the master of the Otome. Their lives are intertwined with the Otome, so if their Otome takes damage, they take damage. If their Otome dies, well, guess what? Their Meister dies too. For the most part, it's more of a royal ceremony to crown a Meister Otome to become a regular Otome to graduate from Garderobe and be crowned a Meister Otome to fight for their nation. Like, it's like a military thing, but like also it's a ritual. However, as you can probably already guess based on the natural way that I'm describing this, Arika ends up getting into a contract with Mashiro, Princess Mashiro. I'm sorry, I will correct myself, Princess Mashiro, and we'll get into Mashiro later. But for right now, let's talk about for Arika and her situation. So her mother had passed away, and her grandma had passed away. So she's, but on her grandma's dying breath, she's like, your mom used to go to school at Garderobe. You should maybe learn to become an Otome like her. If that is your dream, follow your dreams. Your dreams will never betray you. That sort of thing. So go to Garderobe Academy. Maybe you'll find out something about your mother there. So she's walking through the desert, across wastelands, and eventually she passes out in the middle of the desert, and they get picked up by a boat, sort of like Makoto in HiME. So what ends up happening is that she runs into Nina and her adoptive father. Now, I don't know if for certain that Arika had fallen for him at that point, but Arika falls in love with Tate at some point, and not Tate. Oh my God! Oh no, I've officially screwed up. I'm sorry. What was his name? Sergei. She falls in love with Sergei. Sergei, it is being crushed on by his daughter, her adoptive daughter, I guess. And but let's just move on from that. So Arika goes with Nina, who then runs into Princess Mashiro, and Princess Mashiro is being chased by these goons, or not these goons. Her what am I talking about? Her subordinates, that sort of thing, and she's like, help me, these guys are trying to kidnap me or something like that, despite the fact that those guys basically work under her, and believing her because she's royalty, and literally any girl who's being chased by two men literally can't be, lying in that situation. And then Mashiro's runs off, and she's just and I'm gonna give the guys props here because they're bad at what they did, because they're hand over the girl and you won't get hurt. I guess if you were talking to some other dudes who were trying to protect Mashiro, then I guess whatever. But these were two girls who clearly, one of them is clearly wearing the uniform for a school that you frequent going to. So I don't understand why they would do something like that. Anyway, Arika, because she has the blue sky sapphire on her necklace, she they end up getting chased by this thing called I believe in this series it's called a slave. It's the lost children, or the orphans from HiME. So they get chased by a slave. Nina does her thing, but she can't do it, and Arika and Mashiro and Nina, they run to this airship, and scared out of their minds, the airship starts, it takes off because of the power of the blue sky sapphire. I don't understand the logics of it. Do not question it. But it basically powers up the airship and causes it to start flying off. And then when it starts falling, then they jump out, and like the blue sky sapphire emerald does. The blue sky what am I talking about? The blue sky sapphire causes them to float for a bit. Then Shizuru and Akane, I think it was Akane, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was just Shizuru. Yeah, you know what? Akane rescues Arika and Mashiro and Nina. And then Shizuru deals with the slaves, that sort of thing. Basically, they take Arika back with them to Garderobe, and you know that's where the story begins. I basically just described the first episode. I'm sorry. That's because, like, unlike my HiME, there's no, you know, direct main people you should worry about, I guess, is the way I want to word this. But, I guess let's just go into describing the characters, because if I could probably recite the entire series to you guys, but, you know, you're not here for that. Arika, very quirky, very upbeat for the most part. Has a rivalry with Nina, where, like, you know, they're in love with the same guy, but, like, they are refusing to allow the other. Like, I feel like it's more or less a one-sided rivalry that is only somewhat reciprocated. Because, like, Nina just doesn't want to lose to Arika because she saw in the city that Arika has the potential to be a better Otome. And it's because of Arika's performance at Mashiro's, you know, I don't want to say recital ceremony. It's like a crowning in, you know, like before she can become queen. They have this ceremony. I forgot what the word is for it, but like a coronation. And I guess Arika is very much just a very naive person. She's childish. She's the exact opposite of Nina in the sense that, you know, Nina is a strong, independent woman who don't need no man, except she loves her adopted father so much that she's willing to I won't spoil that. I will not spoil that, actually, because, you know, I can't even talk about this series without actually actively spoiling it. But I will say this. The story, compelling beyond belief. Despite how awful the voice acting, I mean, it was from years back, so I can give it a pass. Arika's voice, I prefer watching it in the dub. I cannot stand Arika's voice in the sub. It honestly makes me want to jump through the TV and like choke her out or something. But you know, if you're gonna watch it in the dub. It's a lot better, I assure you. The soundtrack is literally probably one of my favorite things about the show. Especially the story that the stars sing duet, which I've downloaded numerous times, and I kind of want to make an AMV on, but you know, that's a little something else. I won't even go into that. And you have, and the characters themselves are just really their own entities. Like they're just, like they're their own entities. They have their own stories. They have their own circumstances, but like they tie in very well with each other. Like for example, everyone's trying to undercut the rising star Arika, but not like, you know, Shield Hero levels of undercut. I mean just like, you know, one person trying to like exert their influence over everyone else. That sort of thing, you know, like. And then it ties in later on, and it's just so perfect. And then I want to talk so much about it, but I can't do that because unlike my HiME, like, if I say really anything more than like what the characters do, then I guess it'll spoil a lot of the series. Uh, Honestly, I've seen the show 5 times and I could like perfectly recite it. The character development for certain characters, like Mashiro has an amazing character development arc, and it's, oh my god, so brilliant. I don't really like the idea of, you know, Sergei and Arika together at all. They don't get together. Like, I'm not saying that, but I don't like the idea of shipping those two together, because it's basically, in a nutshell, it's pedophilia for one. I guess not really in Japan, but like, then again, I mean, we don't know the age of consent in not Garderobe, yeah, in the Windbloom Kingdom. But I assume it's pretty low if certain things can happen. And really, it's not that you know, Sergei is in love with Arika, but he's in love with her mother. And because he sees so much of her in Arika, then it's like, you know, oh, I'm falling in love with you, but I was actually in love with your mother. Though you seem so much like her that, and you know, by the way, they're nothing alike. Like, Lena and Arika, they're nothing alike. Like, unlike Arika, Lena is actually just dependable. Like, in fact, you see it in the first few minutes of the show, if I'm not mistaken. You see how dependable she is, and then like, you have the people who fought with her when she died. They actually commend her for being, like, apparently she almost killed one of them, or I don't know if she almost killed one of them, but like, apparently she gave them a really hard time because, like, you know, it's Lena Sayers. She's OP as all hell. She got shot in the back of it. You know what? You know what? Let's move on from My Otome and move to My Otome Thief, because I really want to talk about Lena. I'm sorry, I love the characters in My HiME and My Otome, but I really want to talk about Lena for the next, like, I don't know, 30 minutes. And like, the series that she's from, My Otome Thief, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's like My Otome Zero. But it's like spelled SIFR. Yeah, Lena Sayers is probably the most overpowered character in either universe. I mean, obviously, My Otome Thief may as well be connected to My Otome, but My Otome Thief shows that Lena was just 1,000 times stronger than what, like, any of the other characters in My Otome were. Like, I mean, I'm gonna list off some things. You tell me if they sound like, you know, overpowered or anything. For one, I'm gonna start with the most important one. She got shot in the back of the head with a pistol at point blank range. Like, literally pressed against the back of her head, and she still lives. Like, already that just sounds impossibly overpowered, right? Right. She has an ability where when she gets hit, instead of taking the damage, she straight up just, you know, duplicates herself. Like, it's not a shadow clone, but like, it's like a light clone. Like, she disperses and makes two of herself, and then, like, they have their own individual attacks type things. Pretty much single-handedly took on the Sears Foundation for the most part, I guess. What else? Oh, her first display of her power saw literally, like, the slaves, like, who are basically just like, as the name indicates, they're basically just mindless creatures. But apparently, because of how strong she was, they were afraid to move, and they were going back in their portals into, this slave world. And it was just great. It was just wonderful. She pile drived an android that had been modified and outfitted with every bit of her combat knowledge, all of her abilities and everything. She pile drived it from outer space into the ground, creating the world's largest crater, not to mention that she still somehow survives that. And then immediately following that, channeled the power of a satellite to give her blue sky sapphire, her robe even more power to transform into a state even further beyond. By the way, her character in the PS2 game is overpowered as shit. I will say that right here and now. I will confirm it right now that it is overpowered as shit. Not as overpowered as fighting CPU Otome, but I'm definitely gonna say that it's almost there. But after that, she took on the head of I say head, but it's like head mistress of Garderobe Academy and the Four Pillars, which, by the way, they are the strongest Otome in the Windbloom Kingdom. Just want to throw that out there. After pile driving an android from outer freaking space into the Earth, literally creating fire around them, by the way, as they were going through. Pile drive there, basically unconscious for 5 seconds, woke up, got back up, channeled the power of a satellite, and then basically murked the entirety of the top echelon of Otome at Garderobe Academy, and just there's so much I could say about Lena. Like in all honesty, here's what I'm thinking. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. If Lena Sayers was that strong, when the fall of the the attack on the Windbloom Kingdom by Aswad and the Black Valley occurred, and if she still had her Otome powers, I don't think the Black Valley would have stood a chance. I'm throwing that out there for one. Like, she probably could have murked all of them within the span of a few moments. But more importantly, if Lena Sayers was that strong that they didn't make her their predecessor, because they must have buried her. I can say that for certain. They must have buried Lena somewhere that people had to search for her corpse to use as the next predecessor for the Harmonia device. I don't know what the actual name of it. A harmonious piano that they use to what did they use this for? It was basically just a channeler of the Valkyrie unit. But if she was that strong, and they chose Fumi Himeno to be, the predecessor of, for Garderobe Academy's gem system, how strong was Fumi compared to Lena? Because we don't know anything about, Lena and Fumi other than, what we're told in My Otome C. And we know that, in My Otome's Y, that the creature that's trying to take over the world from the asteroid that the top rank Otome destroyed in outer space, they take over the computer and not the computer, I guess it's kind of a supercomputer when you think about it. It takes over that, and it takes the form of Fumi for a while, and it's really strong, really strong. And then you have they called on Kagutsuchi to fight Mai, which I found very, very pleasing, but at the same time, The fact that Mai was the one to fight Kyusuchi and, hold her own. I mean, I get that Mai isn't like the students at Garderobe. She's more or less been honed in combat because of all her training with Makoto and the Black. I'm assuming she was in the Black Valley the entire time. I don't remember if that's actually what happened to her, but I if someone as strong as her can fight Kagisuchi, like, oh, oh god, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin with that. Like, that's crazy. But well, I don't know what else to say other than that Elena Sayers has to be there's no other way that you can explain her character other than that god bitch. Because she's basically the greatest Otome, only second to Fumi. That, in my opinion, that's how they were willing to describe her. And I guess really, going back to the original My Otome series, I guess you could say that for me, I've never really been one to like Naruto versus Sasuke. I like their fight at the final battle place with the two Hokages or whoever they were standing on the platforms. I like that, but in my opinion, the female version of Naruto versus Sasuke would have to be Arika and Nina. Like, their rivalry just so perfect. It's so well written, and it's not like Nina even hates Arika. Like, she says that she does, but like she and Arika and Erskine, they're all good friends. They really are. They protect each other. They have each other's backs. I mean, Nina doesn't like the fact that Arika is sort of starting to step in her territory and take her father's love away from her, even though you're still your father's adopted daughter, so there's no way that he can hate you. But like, it's just a perfectly well written rivalry. And then I want to talk more about it, but I really can't. I can't, because it's not that I don't remember. I remember perfectly. It's just that if I say anything other than what I've already said, then at this point it will come off as spoilers, and I mean, I don't know if I want to go that far. But I know that we said that we're just going to talk about My HiME and My Otome and My Otome Thief, but there is also there's another series that I do want to talk about that was made by the creator of My HiME and My Otome. It has no real correlation to the stories that are in My HiME and My Otome, but I consider this another chapter of like the series as a whole. It's called, I always get the name wrong. It's either The Girl Who Looked Through Time or The Girl Who Looked Through Space. I'm moving towards the space one because it just seems more accurate, seeing as how most of the events that transpire happened in space. But there's this girl, looks like Arika, acts sort of like Mai, and there is this creature who kind of sees himself as a god. He's basically like, oh, I'm awesome, everyone should bow down to me, that sort of thing. But he's actually kind of pathetic in a way. And I can't really talk much about that series. I've only seen it the one time, and I actually kind of want to go back and watch it. But if you haven't, you should totally check out My HiME. You should totally check out My Otome. Make sure to watch it in the dub. They're both on Kiss Anime, if I remember correctly, so you can watch them there. And The Girl Who Left Through Space you can watch on Kiss Anime as well, which I definitely did. But I promise you, you will not regret it. And It's my guarantee that you will not regret it. It's a really well written story. I've cried so many times and so many places that I can't even begin to think that I can go through it now. Like, I saw a clip of one of the scenes and I was like, bullshit, I'm about to start crying again. No, no, no. I need to turn this off right now. So, I mean, I guess that is our discussion for now. I mean, I don't really have much else to say other than, beware of the what's her hair, cyan, or was it cerulean? I don't really remember. It was like turquoise, I think. Yeah, I'm thinking of it. It's more or less turquoise. Beware of the turquoise-haired girls. You'll know her when you see her, and you'll know that she immediately cannot be trusted. That's my advice to you for my Otome. My advice to you for my HiME. I guess just pay attention, really. Because everything that they tell you in my Otome is really important, so, you should always remember that. But in my HiME, it's more or less that putting pieces together, figuring things out, that sort of thing. It's not like Danganronpa where they're like, oh, this happened, or then like, they're like, oh, but you said this happened. No, it's nothing like that. It's more or less just go along with the story, pay attention, and just, enjoy. So that's my advice for those two shows, and that's going to be our discussion for today. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more game content like this. Send me in your, your not your notifications. What am I talking about? Send in your suggestions for topics for us to address. I'm going to try and do this at least almost every Sunday, give or take, and hopefully more people will join, and I'll be able to talk to you guys more about this. So, until we meet again, this is Slater Danger, signing off.